Hello Daily Drafters and welcome back to the channel for today's Daily Draft and welcome to part 2 of the March to Mythic series here on the channel. Part 1 was released on Wednesday. I'm going to go ahead and link in the top right corner visible right now to part 1 where I explain what I'm doing in this video. I'll give you the quick lowdown so I don't go through it too much today in case you missed Monday. Wednesday, go ahead and go back to see exactly everything that's going on here. But basically, the short of it is I was doing some quick drafts off camera, just to fill out my daily quests and stuff and have a little bit of fun without recording. And I was finding that I was doing a lot of winning, so much so that I climbed into Diamond 2, Diamond 3, somewhere in the middle of there, and I found some interesting things out about the bots. I found out that they love to pass aggressive white cards incredibly late. So I took about a draft or two to experiment for a moment and hard force white, like passing Italis and Chandras and things like that. And I climbed up into Diamond 2, which was interesting. So we start part 2 of this series. This will be the conclusion of this series here. In Diamond 2, I believe we start this draft 2 pips away from Diamond 1, which leaves us 7 wins in profit away from Mythic. Now, March of the Machine Quick Draft, at the time of me recording this draft, I only had time for 2 more before it rotated. I had 2 drafts left before it rotated, and then it changed to Dominaria United. I had to really capitalize on the time that I had to make sure that I could try to make this push toward Mythic. You'll see by the end of this video whether or not we get there. But we get very, very close here, and I thought I wanted to just put this on to the channel for you all. Again, when we get into this draft, it's going to go a lot quicker than normal because I recorded this a while ago. I'm now here later after the fact commenting on my games. That's why it's going to be a little bit of a different format than normal. But just go into these drafts, know that I will be hard forcing white, and I'll show you why when we get there. So let's go ahead and get into our first draft for the day here. Okay, here we are in the first draft, and you see we open Elish Norn, Grand Cenobite. It's a 7-drop. So it's not great in the super wide aggressive decks, but we've got a couple white cards we can wheel. We snap up Elish Norn, and it looks like we're forcing blue-white knights today. Because we get to pick 2 Marshal of Zhalfir, which isn't necessarily late, but boy is it great to have one of those things. Alright, so now we've got 3 really good cards for this wide aggressive deck. We just snatch up our first copy of Realmbreaker's Grasp, because we know we're going to want at least 1 copy of that card. Again, if you are watching this draft and you're like, what are you doing? You're not even considering anything else. Go ahead and take a look at Wednesday's video for the full explanation of why I'm doing what I'm doing. I do hedge here with the Botanical Brawler because there wasn't great white cards, but then we see a Phyrexian Awakening, a card I absolutely love. I'll put it in any white deck, and look at this. Pick 6, we got Bola Slinger, Realmbreaker's Grasp, Quende, and Aerial Boost, and this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. I go ahead and take the Bola Slinger because there's a chance the Grasp wheels, and look at this. We get another one anyway. So again, pick 7, we've got Knight of the New Coalition and a Grasp. I actually go ahead and take the Knight here because I think the other Grasp might wheel too. Look at this, Surge of Salvation, pick 8, Angelic Intervention on the wheel, and now you guys know what I'm doing. I go ahead and take Invasion of Kylem here to hedge toward red-white because we're not seeing a lot of blue cards. Surge of Salvation, pick 11, never fails in these quick drafts. So I go ahead and just snatch up a couple cards here at the end that don't really matter until we get to a pick 14 Realmbreaker's Grasp. This is the draft, guys. This is the draft that I had been talking about of what these bots are doing right now. Pick 14 Realmbreaker's Grasp. I mean, it's outstanding in these wide aggressive decks, and it's insane that we can get it pick 14, which is exactly why I'm forcing what I'm forcing here. So I go ahead and take the Zhalfir Lancer, pack 2, pick 1. I know I'm playing white, and we'll see if we can compare that with blue-white knights. And then unfortunately, we get a pretty bad pick 2, but I do not mind running a copy or 2 of Enduring Bond Warden in these decks, so I go ahead and take that here. Now I'm debating between Aerial Boost and Core Halberd and Streetwise Negotiator. So I actually take the Negotiator here because I think the Boost and the Halberd might wheel. Look at that. Another Realmbreaker's Grasp, pick 4. The last one wheeled pick 14, so I'm questioning. I think I just take the Knight here because I'm expecting the Grasp to potentially wheel anyway. And then we get an Invasion of Xerax, and I love Invasion of Xerax here in blue-white. So I'm going to snap that up over these black removal spells. We get that Core Halberd anyway. There's also a Tiller of Flesh, but that card's been a little bit too slow for this style of deck. Here's our Aerial Boost, and we are off to the races with our 1 and 2 drop white aggressive cards. Here's an Order of the Mirror, and I think with that Order of the Mirror, I'm probably pretty close to locking in blue-white at this point, but we get a little bit of a late Rotten Tail here. We'll see where we can go with this. Core Halberd comes around as well. We get 2. Take the Herd Beast because there's no blue cards for us, and then we fill out this pack. Unfortunately, the other Grasps didn't wheel, but that's okay. So I reserve Awakening, and I take a look at Bola Slinger here as well. Can't remember which route I actually go. Again, there's great cards like Spell Spear and things in this pack too, but, you know, we're forcing white aggro. We have just about 1.5 to 2 drafts left in this season to try to make it up to Mythic. So we gotta do this quickly. So I look here at Daxos and Aerial Boost and Mirror Shield Hoplite, Wary Thespian. I'm moving the green to the sideboard at this point because I think our blue is just a little bit better. So I take the Daxos. There's an Elspeth Smite here and really nothing else considered. So we take the Smite. Now white is being cut, blue is also being cut. So I'm looking at my Incubate here. I just take the 3-mana Flyer because I know I'm 100% playing white. We have a Bola Slinger and a Dune Shaper. I look at my curve, checking out my 2 drops. I'm a little worried, but I do go ahead and snap up the second Bola Slinger here. Aerial Boost as another combat trick, but again, I'm getting a little worried for my creature count. And then we get a late Negotiator, and I'm like, should I be green here? Because there is no blue cards in this pack. So I take another 2 drop. I take a third Bola Slinger. We wheel an Aerial Boost, but I also go back and take a look at my green. And I start throwing it back into the deck because I'm like, blue was wildly cut this draft. But again, all these white aggressive cards keep wheeling. So we know we're taking white. I'm thinking about Aerial Boost, and I actually take Chomping Kavu here as another creature because I'm worried about my creature count. So I actually look to switch over to green-white here. We have 17 creatures now that we're playing the green, so we should be okay in that respect. None of this really matters. We'll take another Herd Beast, cut the white, another combat trick. We've got infinite amount of combat tricks for this deck. I mean, this is exactly why I'm doing what I'm doing, because of this draft. This is the most emblematic of this right here. We've got 2 Halberds, 2 Surges, 2 Grasps, Intervention, 2 Boosts. And I mean, that's what we've had in part 1, and that's what we're going to have here in part 2 as well to help us on our march to Mythic for this series here. So just making some cuts, a little bit more to make here. Always play 16 lands in these aggressive white decks here. I cut the Herd Beast because whatever. I think we're relatively okay. I cut the Sky Warden because we don't really have the Incubate synergies. Still at 15 creatures. So deciding which of these combat tricks to cut. I cut an Adaptation. Still 3 cuts left to make. I cut a Surge because we have so many combat tricks here. We don't really need all of them. I cut a Boost, and we've got 1 more card to cut. Still at 15 creature, we're playing 3 Knights, so the Lancer isn't outstanding, and the Knight of the New Coalition, but it is a pretty good combo with the Lancer, and I go ahead and just bring out a Bola Slinger for now. I don't think that's how I keep it. I actually cut the Awakening and put the Bola Slinger back in for mana considerations there. So that'll do it, and I'll see you in game 1 here. Okay, we go first with an easy keep. Rotten Tail into Negotiator into Protection and Removal. Can't ask for much more than that with these aggressive decks. Again, we're 2 pips away from Diamond 1 at the current moment. And we are rapidly running out of time here. So I think I started this draft at about midnight local time. and I had to wake up the next morning pretty early, and I was busy all day when the format rotated. So I couldn't stay up much longer than I was there. So I had just about this draft and maybe one more. So all right, interesting options here. Something we can do is Bond Warden on Rotten Tail, use Intervention or Smite to kill the Instructor. We can Grasp and attack. We have options here, so let's see what we choose. So I Bond Warden on itself. I attack with everything, intending to smite whatever they block, and looks like that's what they do, so we go ahead and get rid of that. Tapping out a protection for a turn, but I think we'll be okay. Nezumi Informant, and we have a difficult decision here. Do we want to keep our protection or do we want to keep our removal? I originally discard the removal, but the thing is, if they drop like a 4/4, our entire board is stonewalled, so I actually keep the removal in the event that they just play another creature that I have to remove here. So, relying on the top of our deck, we'll see what comes. More lands is what comes. Don't need that. Blocking the Bond Warden, interesting. Obviously they have some sort of plan here. I'm thinking they're going to Final Flourish. Cosmic Hunger, that's not the end of the world at all. But then they do have the Final Flourish, so it all makes sense in the end. And we are rapidly running out of gas here. Gonna need something off the top. Have a removal spell, but they have Sword of Once and Future, so that'll be tough. Okay, that is a pretty darn good draw. I'm looking if I can enchant the artifact, and I can enchant Sword of Once and Future if I choose to. And I'm thinking about doing it here. And I don't play the land because they've already had one Nezumi Informant. I don't want them to use another one. But I need to save this Grasp for a creature, because if we're going to win, we have to push damage here. So they're going to go ahead and equip. Effectively tap out. Although now they do potentially have something. But I have no choice but to Grasp here, because I need to push the damage, and I'm hoping they don't have anything in hand. And now if they don't have anything, we win. See what their top deck is. A 7/7 Menace. That makes life a little bit difficult. So I can attack with both, throw away my Lancer to deal 3, they put them to 2, play the Blade Master, and they are dead on board if they don't draw out of that as well. And if I just sit back, that's probably not a good plan. So I do go ahead and make this play here. Play the Blade Master, play the land so I can activate it, and now they're dead on board. If they draw a land, we win. Let's see what they do. They don't draw a land. In fact, they can only get back Nezumi Informant at the moment, but boy, do they mill a good one in Doomscar Warrior. However, they can't quite cast it yet. But they can play Informant and then move their sword over. And now we don't have great attacks anymore, unfortunately. So, what can we draw? But, okay, 2 more lethal threats, not too bad. Again, they're dead to a top deck land. Let's see if they draw out of it. Not only do they draw out of it, but I go ahead and give the nice here because they gain more life. So, 2 incredible top decks from them when they were dead on board. You can see me rapidly mousing over the phases on my turn, because that's what I do when I'm nervous and kind of getting close to tilting, because we had 2 turns to get out of this. Now they are rapidly stabilizing here. And I am really not liking this. So I make a pretty big punt here, in my opinion. I think it's this turn. When Nezumi Informant attacks, and they're going for a hit on Sword of Once and Future, and for some reason, I forgot that they also get to draw a card. So they get all kinds of value on this, when I could have double blocked with Bond Warden and New Coalition. And I think that would have been better. Because we got to put the counters somewhere from the Bond Warden if they choose to kill that. They draw a Halo Forager. I mean, they cast Cosmic Hunger for free. So, I mean, this is getting really out of hand really quickly. And I think that was a huge punt. They flipped their battle. They're at 5. They move it over. We draw a Negotiator. I mean, another creature, I guess. Pass it right on back. Had I blocked the Informant there, I still wouldn't have had attacks, but I mean, they wouldn't have cast the Cosmic Hunger, they wouldn't have Ravi Singir. I mean, there's a lot of things that were definitely a punt. I figured I was trying to race, so I just didn't block, but that was definitely a mistake here, so. They do X equals 2, presumably for Final Flourish. Sacking their Wary Thespian. Makes sense. Now things have gotten quite out of hand, unfortunately. They get to Surveil 1 again. They keep it on top, which can't be good news for us. I don't know where to put these counters. I just throw it over here. They gain another life. They hit us again. Important Tracker and a land off the top. And that kills us. So definitely some pretty big punts there in my... I think I probably could have won that game. But certainly punted. They got removal and menace and flying. And that'll kill us. So that puts us now 3 pips away from Diamond 1 with not much time left. Alright, we go first. We have a fine hand, 1, 2, 3, but the 1 is a removal spell that we'll get to later. So, if you found yourself watching all of part 1 to this, or here at part 2, and you're really rooting for this guy, this run to Mythic, and you want to support the channel, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Would mean a lot. Subscription goes a long way. It's absolutely free for you, and it really helps the channel grow here. And if you would really like to support the channel monetarily, we do have a Patreon page with a link in the description, or you can just head to Patreon and search Daily Draft. You can find us there for Daily Draft Discord server. You can also find early access to content and also just support this run to Mythic. We haven't made Mythic yet here on the channel. And we're trying to get it here in the beginning, at the end portion of this season. So a Patreon pledge would go a long way in helping me get there. So we quickly have to discard 2 cards here. So things are not looking outstanding for us. But... so I go ahead and keep the Bola Slinger in hand, and the reason I do that is because I want to use its backup ability to tap down their next play. I could have played the Bola Slinger, but I just animate, and now they've got a Death Toucher and the backside of whatever this thing is. So this is a case where not being mana efficient was actually correct, because you can see I have pretty darn good attacks here. All I got to do is play Bola Slinger, suit up the Lancer, attack, tap down the Agent, and now they're either at 2 or they're chumping. And they're dead to 3 different creatures next turn. So, I mean, let's see what they can do to get out of it. Still 4 cards in hand. Izumi Freewheeler. It's another creature. Milling 2 more lands off the top for us, thank goodness. Knight of the New Coalition does pump our Lancer. And they see in the writing on the wall that they're dead. So quick win there. Alright, we go first again. It's a bit of a slow one, but we've got Core Halberd, we've got Awakening, and we can draw many more creatures from here, so I do go ahead and keep it. Back to 2 pips away from Diamond 1. Another land. Don't need that. Blue-green Portent Tracker, okay. 1 turn out of order on the Brawler, unfortunately. So I'm thinking, do I play Awakening or do I play Brawler and hold up Surge here? And I opt to just play Awakening. I want to get that 4/4 down and try to beat down with it as quick as I can. I could have played Brawler and then gotten an extra counter on it next turn, but we really got to make sure that we're getting threats on the board to attack their life total, which is why I put the 4/4 down. Because next turn I can actually play Brawler and equip and hold up Surge, or I can animate. I can do all kinds of things here, so... And I do go ahead and opt for the line to make a 5/5 with protection here. 5/5 Vigilance and protection with Surge backup. So, not bad. Not bad. Renata. Renata is a good one. More lands. Checking that Surge doesn't give protection from green creatures, so... Question is, am I willing to trade the 5/5 for Renata? And I basically say yes. They were getting priority, so I was wondering if they had like aerial boost or something right now, but I forgot it was the Portent Tracker untap here, so... Even if it ends up being the Arachnoid adaptation, that's fine. Shocked that they're willing to take 4 here. I did not, or 5, I did not expect that. That attack may not have been great from me. But Renata's not getting any smaller, and she's only going to pump out bigger and bigger creatures too. So we have to find a way to close out this game, and quick. Invasion of Rin, another card I just don't care about. So I'm fine with that. Okay, back to us. Daxos. Now that's an awkward draw because I can't play Daxos and also hold up my protection here. So what I do is I move this over so I now have attacks with 2 different creatures. I can attack with the Knight and the 4/4 here. The 4/4's got Vigilance thanks to Phyrexian Awakening. They now are willing to trade, so I can whittle down this board little by little. Or so I thought. They did have the adaptation, unfortunately. And me unequipping let them use it. So that was a bit unfortunate. But we'll see if we can push through here. I do tap out for a turn because at this point we need all kinds of help. So I go ahead and tap out from Surge. Play the Daxos, which currently blocks Renata. Okay, Blade Master with the counter, Preening Champion with the counter, 1/1 with a counter, and Renata has gotten all the value it needs. And now they're chipping away at their battles here. And I am questioning my life choices at this point. And again, I tap out of Surge because we've just got to put creatures on the board and hope we can go wide enough here. I get this to be a 3/7, and I can either trade this for a Preening Champion or a Renata, and I'm fine with either of those. So I do go ahead and just get the Renata off the board here. They get to flip their invasion, because there's nothing I can do about that. Preening Champion OP. Bola Slinger is an interesting draw here. They have all their mana untapped, but we still do have Surge of Salvation to protect our creatures. So I'm trying to do some math on just throwing away my creatures into their 4/4 while tapping down their 3/3 and having hexproof backup. So I put this here. They go for the removal. I say, do you have another one? And the answer is no. So we go ahead, do all this, put it here, and now we have an attack into the 4/4. And I regret not attacking with everything here, because I think I'd be willing to throw away the 3/3 to deal an extra 4 points. But we do get rid of their biggest threat on board. Blighted Burgeoning, sure. They get to flip their invasion, but at least that doesn't add to the board immediately. It just threatens to add later. Invasion of Amonkhet. Okay, well, I don't have any cards in hand, so milled a Chomping Kavu and a removal spell. But I'm looking at their board, and that is also a great top deck, because now I think they're going to go ahead and try to animate their 2/2. But all I have to do is attack with everything, tap down their Blade Master, and Elspeth Smite something, and we've kind of got it going a little bit here. And they choose the block that works out the absolute worst for them. I mean, it makes sense. Had they just blocked the 2/2/2s, we probably would have lost this game. But let's see if we can push through with the Bola Slinger still left on board. Yarok the Desecrated, Death Touch, Lifelink. Oof, that's tough. Bola Slinger tapping that down is going to have to be one of the only ways we win this. But then they get a Preening Champion to attack and also copy something. So we're dealing with a lot of power on the other side of the board here. And I had forgotten they can make a Knight of the New Coalition, which creates 2 more blockers. But holy cow, is this a top deck for the ages. We have a Bola Slinger. We can tap down 2 creatures of theirs, and we have 4 attackers. Is it enough? I don't know. I think about putting it on the Brawler here, which would be a huge mistake, but I do end up throwing out one of the 2/2s. But thank God for that top deck, because if it weren't for that, I think we are pretty toast. Doing a bunch of math in my head right now. I think I'm counting up all kinds of stuff in my head. Get an extra counter here. And I know that Botanical Brawler has Trample, so I actually moved the Core Halberd over. I also went into a little bit of a... Sorry. I don't know if you can see my screensaver trying to kick in there. I got a long game here, so a lot of thinking. Probably didn't see it get dark. Who knows? I'm still just thinking about what to do with this equipment here. Counting everything up. I know I can tap down the lifelinker. And I do move it over to the trampler and just say, it's now or never. So I tap down their two biggest creatures here. And I think simply because I moved it over to the trampler, I don't think they have enough to survive here. They can block each of the other 2/2s. They take 5. They can do this, in which case they still take 4. I reorder it, and they take 4 damage, and we somehow get the win out of the jaws of defeat there. What a top deck with that Bola Slinger. And that puts us 1 win away. 1 win away from Diamond 1, that is. So we'll see if we can go ahead and try to get one more win here to push us up into Diamond 1. Start with the Rotten Tail into a Negotiator. Got a good curve with this deck, or with this hand. Just need white. Not what I meant. Poke in for the 1, and really looking for white mana here. If we can top deck a Plains, I think this game is basically over. Couldn't quite get there. Hit him for 4. Now we need a Plains. If we can get a Plains and all they do is play creatures, they're dead. So let's see. Don't care about that in the slightest. And we are getting unlucky here, unfortunately. Quende, that makes things a little tough. And can we get our Plains pretty please? One time. Thank the Lord, because now we have Bola Slinger, and we are off to the races. But I see they're getting priority right now, so I know they have Aerial Boost. So I'm thinking about what to do about the fact that they have Aerial Boost in hand. And trying to figure out a way to play around that. Good news is, if I put it on another creature and attack, they can only Aerial Boost in response, which taps both creatures, so that doesn't do anything. So I do have a free attack here. Tap down Quende. They get priority. They choose not to. They also choose to now chump, which is very strange. And I have no idea what that was about. But I'll take it. Just trying to preserve their life total, knowing that we're probably going to kill them here very soon. Alright, they have the Searing Barb. And they pass with Aerial Boost up again. I say, deal with this. Put it on the Rotten Tail. You take 6, go to 5. They animate another blocker. They pass it back, and we just draw another Bola Slinger to tap down their entire team and get the win, put us into Diamond 1. Can we make a run today? We're doing our best. All right, first game in Diamond 1, we go first. We need some green. It's a really close one here. I do take the risk and take the keep. We have Awakening on 3 worst case, even if we just draw planes. Which is slow, but it's a 4/4 with protection back up, so. And we find the green. Hallelujah. Play our 2-mana 3/3. And now we're off to the races. Does it survive a Volcanic Spite? It does, but not in the way I was hoping. We do have to sack the creature here. Just go ahead and get Awakening down. Nothing else we can do. Stormclaw Rager is fine with me. Now I'm calculating what to do, and I just need to get a big threat down, so I play my 4/4. Jury and Rager is a pretty good combo. And now I have lots of options, but I take the riskiest line with Bolaslinger here. Because we gotta figure out a way to push some damage. I do have Aerial Boost, but not anymore. I go ahead and tap down Jury. They can't block. Five mana, let's see what they got. Furnace Gremlin, that's fine with me. Alright, looks like they're going to pump it. And then Rager. Sacrificing it. Incubating 2. Pumping Jury. Drawing a card. Getting a counter. I love black-red sometimes. It's so much fun. Can't block, so you take that. Realmbreaker's Grasp. So we're drawing some good cards here. Just got to figure out a way to push through some damage. Trying to calculate if I have lethal. I currently have 7, 11, 12. I have 13 damage. Which is not quite lethal, but it is pretty darn close. So what I can do here is I can attack with everything, put them down to 4, and have Angelic Intervention to protect my creatures here, which is huge. So, I mean, they have to have like 2 removal spells to deal with this. So I just pass with protection up here. Rouse Reinforcements can't block the Kavu. Aetherblade Agent also can't block the Kavu. They move to sacrifice Jury and deal 2 to Bolaslinger, and you see me immediately grab Angelic Intervention here. Or Aerial Boost, and I almost do it, but then I think, wait, are they not just dead to my Aerial Boost next turn? Just flying it into the air? Like putting it on Kavu and killing them? So I'm thinking long and hard here. Do I even need to use this? And I just let it happen because they're dead on board. So yeah, they Rager, they sacrifice a 1/1, I don't care. Now they're dead 2 different ways, to Aerial Boost and to Realmbreaker's Grasp. And Angelic Intervention for that matter. So we had multiple ways to kill them there. We did end up getting there. They were dirtling around and we hit them in the air with the 7/7. Alright, 4 wins away. Alright, we go first, and we have an easy mulligan here, and then draw into a mono-white deck. Thinking about what to put back, and it's probably going to be the Slinger because it's the most expensive thing. But I'm not liking my chances right now with this current mulligan and not a great hand. So let's see what we can do. And unfortunately, things are getting a little out of hand already. I offered to trade Intervention for Dreg Recycler, but they obviously say no. They get to look at our hand, which, with a removal spell and 2 combat tricks, is not great news for us. I actually didn't expect them to take the Kavu here. I expected them to just incubate 3, because we are in no hurry to cast that Kavu with no green in hand. So, but they did, so it's fine. Not a bad draw, in that we can actually play a card out of our hand now. Grafted Butcher pumps their Recycler. Scornblade Berserker also pumps their Recycler. Now they have a 4/4, which can tussle with our 4/4 token here. Still draw nothing but white, but at least we can animate and still hold up protection. I don't want to trade Intervention for Butcher at this point, so I just attack with my 4/4. They block sack here. And then I'm just going to get rid of their 4/4 here post-combat because I need a way to kind of push through some damage. So we have 2 combat tricks in hand that they know about. So it's going to be tough to play through that. Easy decision here. Interesting attack. I say I'm willing to race. We find another plains. I get in with both my creatures. Hit them for 5 and pass it right back. Nothing else to do. Alright, 6 mana. Okay, we do find green, so we'll play a green and then hit with the 4/4. Not much else to do. They will block. I'll say, alright, what do you got? The answer is nothing at the moment. Final Flourish to finish it off? No, they just straight up chumped. Very interesting. Which is fine with me. Invasion of Eldraine. Don't like to see that. So I just go ahead and cast this right now just to get an extra counter on our Bond Warden because we have to discard it anyway. They kill it, which I don't really care about that much. I don't really know why they did it that way. That was kind of strange. Now they're down to 1 card in hand. We have a 5/5 Vigilance and they have a 1/1. I don't know how this got to be where it did. So they can sacrifice their Recycler to get the Butcher back. Alright, they now found an island, which makes me discard my Realmbreaker's Grasp, unfortunately. They have Gloomfang Mauler. They have Blight Reaper Thallid. Okay, so this is a very interesting play here that I make. So I attack. Oh, it's not this turn. Okay, so they just chump with their 1/1. I think it's next turn where I do this. So I get in, I tap it. They go to 1. They're now dead on board. Again, somehow. I don't really know how we got here, but we did. They play Doombringer. I say, okay. I'm suspect that their last card is a land because they didn't play anything last turn. I can now play Daxos in case something dies. They have no priority. I attack. I tap the Doombringer, and they have to block our 6/6. Now, something I could do is smite their Butcher so it gets exiled. And I'm thinking about doing it. But I'm like, I need to save this in case they play something bigger that I can't get through. Because as of right now, we have 3 lethal threats. And I would like to be able to kill something if something else comes down here. So I go ahead and don't do it, which was against my instinct. Let's see what happens now. Glissa. Glissa is what happens. And you see me doing the dang it, nice. And then the lands start coming. So thank God I didn't use Elspeth's Smite on the Grafted Butcher, because now this is our only way to deal with Glissa. So I tap down the Doombringer, make them block with Glissa, because they have 3 blockers now. We have 3 attackers. No matter which creature they block with Glissa, we get to smite down Glissa here. And then the other 2 will be chumping. So what a decision it was to not use the smite on their Grafted Butcher. Thank goodness. We now have 2 lethal threats to their 1 blocker, and can we fade a draw step 1 time? The answer is yes. Wow. What a game. Alright, 3 wins. Alright, back on the play, we have a couple 2-drops, we have all our colors, so we are good to go here. So we'll keep this pretty easily. Oh, hello, Elish Norn. Haven't seen you yet at all today. Deciding on which creature to play here. I played the Blade Master, and the reason is because if I played the Negotiator and I play the Blade Master next turn, there's a chance they play an X3 that this can't attack into. So I wanted to make sure I got my attack value in when I could. Happy to trade this off if they'll let me. Obviously they don't. We'll play our 3/3. And now Bola Slinger threatens to tap down something if we want it to. Kami. We have had some nightmare games against Kami recently. Playing Bola Slinger. Back up on the Blade Master. Attack. Tap Spell Spear. Hit for 6. And we're racing here. Serpent Blade Assailant. Back up. On to the Kami. Never mind. They chose to get a 4/4 instead. Which works out pretty darn well for me because I have Realmbreaker's Grasp in hand. So yeah, the Grasp opens up enormous amounts of attacks for us here. I put it right on the Spell Spear. Not liking that they're getting priority here, but not going to dissuade me either way. We can get in, tap down their Death Toucher, and then we're hitting for 8 now. Theoretically, they don't have good blocks. They make a interesting play here to kill our 2/2 and not the Bola Slinger. But apparently they have plans. Borborygmos and Fibblethip, 6/5. But the good news is they did not have a land in hand to discard to kill Bola Slinger with. So that was pretty good. Now I don't know how to get through. I can attack with Bola Slinger, tap down B and F, and then they trade and they take 3. They trade Bola Slinger for Assailant, but they still have their 6/5. Really don't know what to do here. I do offer that trade now. Again, they're for some reason choosing to not kill the Bola Slinger, which is very strange to me considering they're at 5, but again, they might have plans I don't know about. I guess what they're thinking is that they attack with B and F here and they draw a land, they can discard it to kill the Bola Slinger. But instead, they give themselves another blocker. The main deck Atrax's Fall. You love to see it. Hanger Scrounger, yet another creature. And I can feel it slipping out of our grasp here. Because we need more action to keep up with this, but we also need more land to cast Elishnorn. Also, they could just, like, hit us for, like, 13 here, which is pretty scary. Let's see how much they choose to hit us for. Can't attack with everything or they're dead, so... And if they attack with the 7/7 and the 6/5, they're dead to removal. So they do choose to just attack with the 7/7. And they choose not to loot. Which means they have a card in hand that is relevant here. Still getting priority, so it's an instant. Not any closer to Elishnorn, so we're going to go ahead and play the Halberd here. Equip it to Bola Slinger, I think. Yeah, and now we can attack, tap down Borborygmos. They have to double chump. Well, or single chump. And we still have a blocker on the backside. Okay, so they'll finally get rid of that Bola Slinger. But they go to 1. We play the Brawler. And I equip the Brawler so that Borborygmos can't chop it down. Remember, they chose not to rummage last turn, so they have something in hand. But they tap out for a Timberland Ancient here. They're at 1, but again, 1 is not 0, so... My hopes are fleeting. Find another land, which is good and bad at the same time. We pass it right back and hope we don't die. But if we draw land next turn, maybe that's good enough. Okay. So they get in with their 2/6/6s, or 6/5 and a 6/6. And I know I'm dead to any instant speed card here because of prowess. But my thought is, if I double block the Timberland Ancient, for example, and they use a combat trick, I'm dead. So either they have an instant speed spell and I'm dead, or they don't have an instant speed spell and I'm not dead. Doesn't matter if I block or not. Because if they blow me out with the Timberland Ancient, killing my creature and leaving me with 0 creatures, I'm 100% dead on the backswing. And if they don't have the spell, then I just go to 1. So I figure my only way out of this scenario is to just take it and pray they don't have the instant. See, I'm even talking about double blocking, but again, either they have it or they don't. So I go ahead and just take it, and they didn't have it. 1/1. They play another creature that comes with a 5/5, and they're feeling pretty good about themselves. But what do we find? But another land for Mom herself. And I haven't done the math, but Botanical Brawler still has trample. They have a 4/3 and a 3/3. And we have a 6/6 and a 5/5 trample. So they have to double block the 5/5 or die. And thank goodness for that land drop. Woof. Alright, 2 games away. Alright, on the play here with an easy keep, Rotten Tail into Brawler with backup of Intervention. So we are now 6-1 in this draft, which means if we win this game, we are now 1 win away from Mythic, but can't play any more games with this deck because we will have maxed the number of wins. We will have trophied. So let's see if we can push ourselves to 1 win away here. Adaptation, not bad. Can trade that for Sunblessed Guardian if they choose to block. Which they don't. So let's see how they do this on the backswing. Sigiled Sentinel. Backing up the Guardian. And now we can trade. I mean, trade the adaptation for the Sentinel. Or the whatever that other creature was. Go ahead and play Bola Slinger. And boy, are we off to the races. Hit you for 5. Bola Slinger has been enormously valuable this draft. Wrath, that's probably not going to do it. They let me untap with protection and aerial boost. The good news is if I play the Knight of New Coalition, I can still hold up aerial boost, but I just kind of say, you still don't have good block, so do something about this here. Okay, so they have the Sentinel, or they have the Intervention here, which is interesting. So I have to figure out what we're going to do. The good news is they make a block that's fine for me. So I just go ahead and boost myself over, I think. But then I think about a different line. Why don't I Intervention the Bola Slinger, make it a 3/3, get the counter on the Brawler, and still kill it? That seems like a better play to me. So we completely blow them out even though they thought they had protection. They're at 8. And we've got flying aerial boost and can tap down their blocker and everything. They attack, that's fine. We play the 2 knights that can convoke out aerial boost as it is. We get in, we tap down their 3/3. They do not have good blocks. They try to give it hexproof, which is fine. They then only block the Bola Slinger. They don't block the other two creatures. And Aerial Boost says +2/+2, which to me adds right up to 8. So, you know what? We went 7-1 with this deck. A quick 7-1 with forcing white aggro, hard forcing white aggro in the MOM quick draft queue, and we are now 1 win away from Mythic, but what that means is I have to do another draft. And if I win my first game, we jump up to Mythic. So you know what? Let's go ahead and get our prizes here, get through this draft, and let's see if we can win one more. And if we lose that one, we got to win 2, so it's going to be close. But let's go ahead and grab our prizes. And you're going to be getting a Natali. You're going to see me jump right back in, because at this point I'm approaching 2 a.m. my time, and I got to get going here. Let's try to do this. All right. Again, we are forcing white aggro. Hard forcing. The only white card here is Alabaster Host Sanctifier, which is not good. So we're going to go ahead and take a Preening Champion. Then we see an Intervention. We are not getting lucky right now. There's also an Invasion of Belanon. The interventions have been wheeling for us in these drafts, so I actually switch over to the Invasion, because that's going to be pretty good in Knights. And then I see a Swordsworn Cavalier, which is a card I have missed a lot in Knights decks if I don't have them. So I snap that one up. I see another Phyrexian Awakening relatively late. I note that the intervention might wheel. And now I get scared, because this pack is horrible. So I spec on an Invasion of Kylem, because I do not care about the other two cards. We get a Protocol Knight pick 6, Intervention pick 6. I mean, and then we see not a good pack, so I just go ahead and cut the only blue card. But then I actually reconsider, and I'm like, if I go red-white, another creature's not the end of the world. Here's an Aerial Boost. We're forcing white. We know we'll play it, so we'll go ahead and take that one. I take a creature. I spec on an early Rotten Tail, or I just actually take the Beat Stick in case I go red-white. Take a Stasis Field. And things are not wheeling, which is not good for me. You know, I was counting on those interventions wheeling, but they were not wheeling. So let's see what we can do in pack 2. And we kind of strike out again. I mean, there's Galta and Maverin, but like, we're forcing a deck that does not want to play 7 drops. So, I mean, I reserve it here, but like, I'm really not happy with it, to be honest. I look at the Seraph, I'm like, is that any better? And I actually just switch over to another Beat Stick, because maybe I go red-white. And here is a pick you're all going to hate me for. We have Ragavan. Now, red-white is not one of the better aggressive decks, and I originally reserved Ragavan, but then I remember, how good was Bola Slinger in our last draft? It was incredibly good, and if I can secure my first Bola Slinger, we know we're 100% playing white. We don't know that we're playing red. I would rather be blue-white if I could. The Kylem doesn't really sway me either way. The Beat Stick is whatever. So I switch over to Bola Slinger, highlight, and say, sorry guys, we're passing the monkey. Intervention and Halberd, but there's also a Tetsuko, and I'm like, what about with Cavalier and the Preening Champion token and things like that? Could actually be pretty good. So I actually go ahead and grab Tetsuko here. We see an Forest Dispersal pick 4. Good to get a Dispersal in any blue-white deck. Order the Mirror. You love to get blue-white 2 drops. And now I'm effectively fine locking in blue-white. Invasion of Xerix. You'll love to see it. Snap that up in 2 seconds. Invasion of Xerix number 2. But then I see this Marshal of Zhalfir, and I'm like, oh my gosh. I guess I'm taking Marshal of Zhalfir. So we are open in blue-white. Take Tiller. Not happy about it. And then we see all the packs that didn't have anything in them. But we wheel pick 11 Angelic Intervention, which is a gift. So we do have our first protection spell here. Haven't seen a Surge of Salvation this draft, but that's fine. And Chromehost Sea Shark, pack 3. This card is nuts. Currently looking at our instant or non-creatures, and we have 6, which is already pretty good. So we're snapping that up. And look at this pack. Wrath, Marshal of Zalfios, Surge of Salvation, Seal from Existence, Invasion of Segovia, Bola Slinger. I mean, this pack is nuts. But if we're doing Blue-White Knights, Marshal of Zalfir is absolutely insane, and I'm fully expecting to wheel the Surge. We get another Invasion if we want it. There's an Angelic Intervention if we want it. But I take the Invasion because I love that card. Sigil Sentinel, Protocol Knight. I go ahead and side with the Sentinel here because of my curve. Checking out how many Knights I have already. I already have 7. But I switch over to the Protocol Knight because I do think that's better. And we get our third Marshal of Zalfir, guys. Get the first copy of the Halberd for this draft. Need a few more cards to fill out this deck here. Let's see if we can find them. A Meeting of Minds is not too bad. It's extra little card draw. Aeronaut if we have to. Surge, absolutely wheel. But there's also a Wrath. But I'm debating between these two here. Looking at how much protection and combat tricks we have. And it's not that many. Don't have too many instants and sorceries. So I do take the Surge. And we wheel the Intervention. But I also go back and look at my creature count. And I look at the Bond Warden. And what do I decide on? Look at the curve. We don't have any 1-drops. We don't have a ton of 2-drops. So I actually go ahead and take the Bond Warden here. Play a Guardian. That's fine. And looky there. We got exactly up to 24 playable cards in this deck. It's not perfect, but it's got 3 Marshal of Zalfirs, and sometimes that's all you need to win. So we go ahead and take a look at the deck, cut a land, and I mean, I don't see any changes to make. So again, we are 1 win away from Mythic. Let's get it. Alright, opponent goes first. We've got 2-drop with protection and a Protocol Knight eventually. While you watch this potentially last game in this Wraith to Mystic, again, subscription is greatly appreciated. Let's celebrate this potential win to Mythic. If you can help me out, also with the Patreon, a donation of as little as $1 per month gets you access to our Discord channel, and $3 per month can get you early access to content with more tiers coming soon. Donations will help us get over this hump. Come on, let's get there. One win to go. All right, we drop our 2. We have Breeding Champion. We have Protocol Knight. They're not adding to the board. Let's go. We just slam Breeding Champion because that card is nuts. We have Aerial Boost up if we want it. And I choose to hold up Aerial Boost. I don't know why. Probably just should have attacked there, but oh well. Alright, they've got their own Bola Slinger, so they're also trying to be aggressive, which is not great news for us. They sense we have Aerial Boost, they can read it, which is fine. But now we've got a way to tap down their creatures as well. If they just move to transform that and attack with it, we will blow them out by using Aerial Boost on Protocol Knight. Let's see if they go for the attack here. They don't. Again, they read that we have aerial boost, so good for them. But now we have a Seed Shark with boost and intervention backup to protect all of this stuff, which is really good. So we can use intervention to save something and still hold up the aerial boost as long as our Guardian is alive, which is insane. They cast an Emoti, Cascade into Norn's Inquisitor, which could have been worse for us. Invasion of Xerex can bounce their 5/4 and leave them with horrible blocks. And it looks like that is the route I take here. Makes us a 4/4. They've got effectively nothing here, so I just moved to flip this because it gets us a 6/6 flyer. Which, I mean, they're now dead in 2 turns. So we have aerial boost still up. We have a 4/4 in the wings. Realmbreaker's Grasp on our Paladin. Not great news for us, but again, we do have intervention if we want to free that up. A Death Toucher. Okay. We're winning in the air here, so we don't really care about that. They make a attack that seems good, but again, they've read us on aerial boost all game, and they misplayed right into it. So we'll eat their Bolus Slinger, make another 2/2, and go ahead and free up our Paladin here. Make another 2/2. Animate. Get this thing bigger. Play our other creature. Attack for 14 or more. I actually just say, get on in there. This can't go bad, can it? Looks like they'll double block our knight. We'll clear their entire board, and I'm worried about Sunfall. Obviously, but we do have 2 2/2s back as incubator tokens if they do have the Sunfall. You see me pointing out the 2 white here. They use 1 for a Dune Shaper, which tells me it's not Sunfall. They're looking for ways to survive, and they don't do it, which means we got to Mythic. You see me moving things around as much as I can. We finally got there for the first time here on the channel. We're going to go ahead and hop back into our profile to see what number we ended up with once we got up here first. We are Mythic 590. Mythic 590, everyone. So yes, we actually did finally make it to Mythic. Thanks so much for your support in this mini series. Thanks so much for all of you that have been hanging around with me for the last year plus doing this. we're hanging out in Mythic for the rest of this season, doing a couple more premiere drafts here on the channel before we switch over to Lord of the Rings. Thanks so much for supporting me. Quick donation on the Patreon or a subscription to the channel go a long way in helping congratulate me on this awesome achievement. It's been fun celebrating it with you all as well. I did play out the rest of this deck. It ended up going 5-3, which is okay. And we ended up dropping into the 700s in Mythic by the end. So we're like Mythic 750 or something like that. The deck ended up going 5-3. So this quick draft forcing white aggro plan on the channel over the course of these 2 drafts went 5-3, 4-3, 7-1, 5-3. And before that, when I wasn't even on camera, I went an additional 7-0, 7-1, 5-3. So, I mean, like, it feels weird when you're in there passing Atalis and Chandras and stuff. But boy, did it pay off, because here we are, Mythic 590, and it was an awesome ride to get here. I could show you the rest of this, but for your time and mine, I'm just going to go ahead and end the video here, because we got what we wanted to do. We reached Mythic before the end of the Quick Draft season. Thanks so much for tuning in for this series, and I will see you next time here for some more Mythic gameplay and your daily draft.